now.
Yeah, technically we're like live on YouTube, but I have no followers, and
So nobody's watching,
yeah, pretty much this is
but it's
so
out
that
there.
so I can record it and then strip the audio from it and put it on put it on my podcast, which at least like 20 people listen to, whereas this probably won't get viewed at all.
Yeah. Well, I hope I have a decent, halfway decent radio voice. We'll see.
Mhm. So you're not in school anymore. You're graduated, but you're just kind of finishing up some work for university. Is,
California, San Diego.
okay.
Yeah.
How like technically inclined, nerdy kind of uh, nerdiness would you rate yourself?
Like on a scale of 1 to 10, or like, like what's nerdy? Who's nerdy here?
Like on tech stuff that you know how to do, like being able to hack stuff versus like I just want to pick up a phone and it works, or
I mean, I
right.
don't know how to like program or anything like that, but I know how to work with what programmers make. Like I stay on top of like how my phone works and like new things coming, and so I'm more of like I'm on top of the news, but not on top of the how to actually make things or mod things or hack things.
What did you graduate in? I mean,
It's
just
yeah, it's biomedical science, biology, so not much programming involved. Yeah.
yeah. So how long have you been on Republic Wireless, and you and Emily both?
So no, it's just me. There's kind of a story behind that. We were hoping to both do it. I joined. We first started in December. Emily needed a new phone, and I knew about Republic, and saw the news about the Moto X. I was like, well, this is perfect. So we got one, and to replace her phone, and I still had 6 months on my Verizon contract, but her number wouldn't transfer in. She has a number from Yuma, Arizona. For some reason, I don't know, won't transfer in. And so I was like, well, I can keep it on the $10 plan. Public has various tiers of plans, and one of the
Uh,
cheaper ones is $10 a month. And so I said, well, I'll just have my $30 Verizon plan and my $10 Republic plan. So for 6 months, I took Emily, what was intended to be Emily's phone, and had two two phones for 6 months. And we bought her a separate Moto X, and she's on T-Mobile. Just with they have a $30 T-Mobile plan that's a lot of data in a few minutes. But so that's what we did.
all right. So what was the other phone that you had?
I had before that I had a Droid Razor Max. So it's like one of the couple years ago it was like a top of the line Verizon phone. Yeah.
What kind of plan did you have on that?
So I had for a little while. Verizon offered well, it's $20 a month for 300 megabytes of data plan, and so I had that for my data, and then $10 for the actual phone service. So it was $30 a month for my minutes, part of a family plan with my parents, and then $20 for the 300 megabytes of data.
Oh, cool. I only
Yeah.
thought Verizon plans had like big bucks plans,
So
like cheap 60.
yeah, they offered it for just like a month, and both Emily and I got on it, and then we kept it for as long as we could until we decided we needed to, cut the umbilical cord from my parents and go to our own plans. Yeah.
So Emily's just gonna stay on the T-Mobile, so she can keep that number.
Yeah, unless we like Republic opens up her number again, we'll probably check it every once in a while. She's kind of annoyed because she wants more minutes on that plan, and so we have to pay extra money for her to have more minutes.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah. It's only like 100 minutes. That's the
yeah,
plan I've actually been using for the past 2 years.
yeah. And she was using like a voice over IP, internet calling for a lot of her calls. Um, but then Google shut down a lot of those services, and so then that changed, and so we just load in some extra money every month on her plan as well. So it's more like $40 a month for her. Yeah.
Do you use Google Voice or anything like that?
I do, yeah. I was using it on Verizon so I could avoid paying for text messaging.
Uh-huh.
And now since everybody has that number, I still use it while on Republic. Though I've kind of been slowly moving back to my Republic number because now I can do multimedia messaging through Republic.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've been using Google Voice for a couple years for yeah, like you said, free texting, but also we we kind of like the convenience of we only give people one number, and it just rings both my phone and Megan's phone. It can get kind of annoying when like she's texting back and forth with her sister, and
Yeah, you're watching.
but I just kind of figure, oh, okay, she's texting. I just turn off my phone notifications for a while, but
Okay.
it's nice. And so it's how we were kind of dealing with small amounts of minutes because then we have an UMA phone at our house, and that's like $3 a month. We paid for the box for just over $100, and then with $3 a month in taxes, it's unlimited minutes while we're at home. And she's got a prepaid AT&T iPhone. Like I bought an unlocked iPhone and then bought a SIM card from AT&T that was prepaid, and I think we paid $25 every 3 months for her for just like 250 minutes. But she doesn't use it because when she's at home, she uses UMA. When we're out and about, we can use my phone. And after a couple of years of that, she's got hundreds of minutes saved up.
Okay.
But we actually had to physically cut her SIM card to
Oh yeah, like modify it. Yeah.
So that's how we make Google Voice tie it all together so that we don't have to say, well, we're at home, so call us, but Matthias's phone is better for the minutes, but Megan's is. So it's just call us here.
You just have like a Whitney family phone number, and it's your Google Voice number, and it rings every phone.
Yeah. And it's also nice because then I can experiment with different phones and things, and it doesn't matter. I don't have to worry about port numbers and things. It's just put it into Google Voice.
Yeah, that was one real nice thing when I had both my Verizon phone and my Republic phone for that 6 months. I could have it ring only when people called me. I could have them ring both phones, or if I was out and about, I could tell it to ring just my Verizon phone or wherever I had better service or whatever. And I didn't have to tell people a new phone number because I had a new phone service. So that was nice.
So Republic has the $10 plan that's unlimited minutes and texts and no data, and
Correct,
then they do the $25 plan that gives you lots of data, pretty much.
Yeah, I think they say unlimited. I don't know if they ever slow you down. Like I still don't use that much data, even though I don't even think about it anymore. Like I normally use because I was so used to Verizon's 300 megabytes plan. Yeah. I still only use like less than a gig per month normally of data, and I've never been slowed down or anything. So, but I'm not watching movies, though I have tried and it works on Republic. Yeah.
So do you have an idea to use the $25 plan then?
Yeah, it's unlimited 3G data. Yeah, it's the $25 plan. And they also have a higher plan. It's the $40 a month 4G plan. Now, they use the Sprint network. Republic does. They're a mobile network operator, a virtual mobile network operator, so they pave Sprint to use their network. And so you're basically using Sprint service. And so Sprint doesn't have much 4G service yet, though they're rolling more and more out. So the 4G plan isn't that useful unless you live in a place that has Sprint service, which San Diego does already. So I've tried it, and it's fast. I think it was about as fast as I used to be on Verizon with their 4G plan. Yeah.
So the main thing with Republic Wireless, how they're able to keep it so cheap, is whenever you're around Wi-Fi, the calls go through Wi-Fi, and they're not actually having to pay Sprint for those minutes. So how does that handoff work? Is it pretty seamless? Do you notice, or do you ever have a chance to go in and out of Wi-Fi hotspots?
Yeah, so it works really well. There may, like, a lot of times I don't realize it's happened until after it did. It's quite sensitive. Like, it'll hand you over to Sprint's network, before I think it should, but it does. And I don't really notice it. Occasionally you'll hear like a little pause, but I haven't dropped calls in that during that handoff. Um, yeah, and it only goes one direction right now, so it only goes from Wi-Fi to cellular, but not from cellular back to Wi-Fi.
Okay, won't ever hand you back.
Yeah, but I guess they're working on that so that if you want, like maybe you live in a place with bad Sprint service and you want to force it to hand you back to your Wi-Fi network because it's better quality, I think they say they're working on that.
Okay. When you're not in a place with lots of good Sprint towers, like you go a little bit more rural, they'll roam onto Verizon. Is that like for real? Is that?
Yeah, I guess they'll roam onto Sprint's roaming partners. I guess they have a lot of them, one of which is Verizon. So if Verizon's available in this rural area, like for example, my parents live in rural Arizona, and over Christmas, right after I got the phone, I went there and I had no Sprint service, but I was able to roam onto their Verizon. And Verizon actually is pretty terrible at my parents' house too. But it was nice because they had Wi-Fi, and I actually had the best service of anybody there because I was using their Wi-Fi for making calls.
Sure.
Yeah.
Does the data roam also, or when you're roaming, is it just texting and?
I'm not 100% sure. I think it may just be like the texting and the calling, not the data that roams. Or maybe up to a certain amount, the data, maybe a few hundred megabytes or something.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not 100% sure.
I'm sure I'll get a chance to test that out. Seems like we live in Manchester, New Hampshire, and it's pretty good all around town, but you don't have to get too far out of town where things start seeming pretty rural. And the T-Mobile service that I had is great all around town, but in any direction it just drops off quickly.
Okay.
So I think Sprint's pretty similar, but anyone who lives outside Manchester has to have Verizon.
Okay.
But if I can roam for free, then I'm going to try it out. I actually I bought a Moto X
there it is.
last week on eBay for I think it was a recertified one for I think like $50 off, and I activated it last night. So I've only played with it for like a day. I couldn't figure out how to put a referral code. I looked to see if I could use your referral code to.
Well, thanks for the effort.
to put it in, but when I activated it, but I think you have to do it when you buy it from.
Oh, when you buy it.
The website. So.
That's a bummer.
Yeah, wanted the $20 off, but.
Yeah. I should mention also so we mentioned 3 of the plans that Republic has. They have a 4th plan. It's a $5 a month plan. It's essentially like a voice over IP phone. So you can only use it on Wi-Fi. It doesn't give you any service when you're not on Wi-Fi. So it's $5 a month for that. But it's also nice because you can text through that. So if you come on hard times and you need to save money on your phone bill, you can drop down to $5 a month and still have at least like a home phone.
Yeah. Or it could be like a teenager phone if you wanted to buy a Moto X for your teenager.
Or like a college student, there's Wi-Fi everywhere on campus. And
yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Have you ever tried to find it? They don't officially say that you can do tethering or hotspot, but have you ever played with it to see if you can get around that? Or
I haven't tried. I didn't realize before I bought that you couldn't do that, and so I wanted to one time, and then I saw that I couldn't, and I was a little disappointed. But my wife had the T-Mobile plan, which allowed her to, so we just used her phone for the tethering.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's like it's you don't even have an option to find it like in the settings, like a tethering option. I imagine there's probably people who've hacked it and made it possible, but
yeah. Have you ever been rooted your phone or been into that kind of stuff, loading custom ROMs?
I haven't rooted my Moto X, but I rooted my previous phone, mostly because the performance was pretty terrible, and I was trying to fix some things, and so I have rooted once, and that was my previous phone. And it was kind of late in its life cycle, and I think if my Moto X starts degrading late in its life cycle, I'll probably root again, and then you can put on a newer operating system and everything.
Yeah, I'm not sure how that would work with Republic Wireless. I mean, I'm pretty sure you can root it, but I don't know if you put something else on it, you probably couldn't use it anymore on their service, but maybe you could have access to some other stuff. Just barely started thundering and lightning here, so I don't know if you can hear that or.
Yeah, I missed that though. It never thunders, or there's never thunderstorms here in San Diego, so I hope I hear it, but I haven't yet.
Megan feels like we're doing Arizona monsoon, so she gets excited. We've had, this is probably like our 5th thunderstorm this summer.
Oh, nice.
So what do you think of the Moto X?
I
know
love it.
Droid Razr Max was, premium phone in its day. Does this feel like a pretty good premium phone?
Yeah, it leaps and bounds above my old Droid Razr Max, but maybe that's because of, it was dying when I got rid of it. But it's really nice. Like, it has some really great features. Like, there's this one called the active display, where the display just kind of notifications without you ever having to touch the phone or press a button. So then you can see if your most recent notification shows up. So if somebody just emailed you or texted you or something, you can see that, and you can just ignore it if it's not important, or swipe up and respond to it straight from there. It also has it's always listening, so you can always just say, "Okay, Google now," and it will then listen, and you can do something like do a search or set a reminder or navigate somewhere or something like that. So I really like that feature.
Some of those Moto Assist features seem kind of gimmicky. Do you actually still use them, like after the novelty wore off? Do you find the stuff useful?
I do. My wife, who has the Moto X2, probably doesn't as much as me. I mean, the active display I always use, where it's always showing my notifications. I really like that. It's especially nice like in meetings or things like that, where you can just pull out your phone really fast, look at it, see what it was, and put it back in your pocket. Emily doesn't use as much the voice thing, but I use it quite often. And then there's the third feature that we really like is you can just if you're holding your phone and you move your hand like you're screwing a screwdriver, like screwing in a screw with a screwdriver. You do that twice and it launches the camera app. And having 3 kids in our house, we're often taking pictures, and it's like a very quick way to access the camera. So we're always doing that.
And it works reliably?
Yeah, it does. Yeah. Yeah, that's our preferred way to launch our camera apps on our phone. It's really nice.
Do you does it ever seem like the phone slows down because it's got the custom Republic Wireless software on it, or does it seem like it gets pretty good battery life? Or
I think it's pretty good. I mean, the Moto X in general was very lightly modified, compared to like your stock Google phones, like your Nexus phones. But but the Republic Moto X on top of that only has one extra app that makes that hybrid Wi-Fi calling possible, and I don't think it slows my phone down. Although it's always running, it's always in your notification shade on your phone. So because you can always change your plan on the go. That's another thing we didn't mention is you can change your plan twice a month. So I'm on the $25 plan. If I wanted to save some money, I could drop down to that $5 plan until the end of the month, or for a week or something, and then jump back up to my $25 plan to save money for a little while.
How does that work for the billing cycle? Does it just prorate you $25 times 75% of the month?
Exactly. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So I think when I got rid of my Verizon phone, I switched from the $10 plan up to the $25 plan. It was like in the middle of a month, and so they prorated the second half of the month at that higher rate, and so my bill was halfway between 10 and 25.
Okay. Have you ever seen a Moto G or played with it? Because that's the other phone they offer.
I haven't. No. Yeah, it's basically like the Moto X without some of those gimmicky features we just talked about, the active display and the always listening features, and maybe a lesser camera. I think is the difference between the Moto X and the Moto G. And I don't know how much it costs on Republic Wireless, like $180, something like that.
The Moto G is $150. The Moto X is $300.
Okay.
It's half price.
Yeah, I mean, it's for someone if it's someone's first smartphone, I think they would be extremely happy with it. And I think it's a great phone. I think the camera's 5 megapixel, which not many years ago was passable, but nowadays it's people would probably scoff at that. But I think it takes passable pictures.
Yeah, so even though the Moto G is the budget phone, it's comparably state of the art.
Yeah, and I think it's very high quality. It's like Motorola is trying to make smartphones more accessible to everybody, so they're trying to make high quality but low price phones.
Yeah, and so $150 on a prepaid no contract plan, that really is a steal when you have to pay $150 or more for any newer phone from Verizon or Sprint. Plus, 2 years of your life has to be
right
on a high bill with them.
In Republic, there's no contract, so I could leave tomorrow and go to a different carrier. Now the problem is the Republic phone doesn't transfer to other carriers, so I'd have to sell my phone and buy a phone for a different carrier. But
right. So, how would you recommend Republic Wireless to a friend, like on a scale of 1 to 10?
Probably like a 8 or 9. Yeah, like I've just here in San Diego, I think I've got 4 or 5 people on the Republic, and I know like one of our mutual friends who lives in Arizona, Britt, he got on the Republic as well. So I've probably sold 5 or 6 people onto the service. So I highly recommend it. I mean, my very few reservations, just very few. Just the fact that you can't take your phone to another carrier isn't one of the downsides.
I wanted to ask you, do you keep yours in any kind of case or anything, or screen stuff, screen protector?
I just bought like a $5 case off of. I know that your listeners won't be able to see this, but just a $5 case off of Amazon.
Yeah.
And I drop my phone occasionally. Like most often it happens when I'm in the car. Like I'll set it on my lap when I'm driving or something, and I'll forget about it, and I step out of the car and it falls to the ground. It's like 9 times out of 10 the way I drop my phone. And so I just need a case to protect it. And I've probably dropped it 5 or 6 times already in the past 8 months, and there's nothing wrong with it so far.
Yeah, because I've read a couple of times that the screen cracks really easily, but I guess if you're in a bumper case, it'll just kind of take that shock away when you drop it on the edge.
Yeah.
I imagine that's how you'd have to crack it, is some kind of drop on a hard edge.
Yeah. I think mine's just like a silicon case that, it just mostly has the edges protected.
So how would you, someone moving from iPhone to their first Android phone, how do you think the Moto X would compare?
Actually, I think all of the people that I've convinced to get the Republic Wireless Moto X, like, that I attribute to my own persuasive ability, were coming from iPhone to their first Android phone.
That's kind of cool.
Yeah, they've had small complaints, the ones that I've talked to afterward, but they all seem to be quite happy with it. One complaint that one person has, he and his wife both bought Moto X's, and occasionally when they call each other, he said not very often, but it won't even ring the other person's phone. It just says the Republic Wireless phone you've reached is unavailable.
Huh.
And then they'll just text, and then the call will go through later or something. But that's, I guess, is one other downside of Republic, is they don't have like people for customer support. So if you have a problem, you submit like a ticket, and their engineers get to work on it, and if it's an issue that they don't understand by how you describe it, then they may contact you to resolve.
It's all on their website.
Yeah. And I had one issue right when I bought it where for some reason I couldn't call my bank.
Huh.
I could call any other phone number, and it was like my bank phone number wouldn't work, and so I submitted a ticket, and it was some bug with Google Voice working through Republic Wireless. And so if I called not using Google Voice from my Moto X, it would work. But and that has since been resolved, but it was like a small issue like that. Yeah.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
But you submitted the ticket and it went through, and
Yeah, and it got resolved. Yeah. I mean, I'm kind of a Google person. I use all their products, so I'm used to not having to work with with people.
Yeah.
You know, if I have an issue.
Talking to people anyway, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Is there anything I missed? Anything else you wanted to say about Republic Wireless or the Moto X?
Can't think of anything else. Yeah, I mean, I really like it. I love being able to save the money and have the flexibility to change my plan if I want to, or leave if I want to. Yeah, it's nice.
Well, great. Well, thanks a lot, Cody. I appreciate your sharing your experience with it, and I'm excited to play with mine a little bit more. And I picked it up and it turned on. Look at that.
See, active display. I guess there is one other thing that I think Emily kind of likes it more than I do. There's this Moto Assist that will detect if you're driving, or you can also tell it to detect when you're in a meeting based on your calendar events, and it'll change, like it'll silence your phone, or if you're driving, it'll start reading your text messages out loud, and you can respond by voice while you're driving, and it'll just automatically detect that. It's kind of nice. Yeah.
Okay.
But anyway, yeah, there's some gimmicky things like that, but I really like it, and recommend it. But check if your number can transfer in before you purchase the phone.
Yeah, porting your number is important. Do they charge extra to port your number?
No, it was free ported. They also offer you have 30 days after you buy a phone to try it out, and if you don't like it within that 30 days, you can send it back and get the full refund for it. That's another nice thing they do. Let you try it out before you can test the service in your area and see if it is adequate for your needs.
Okay. Well, do you have any kind of web presence or anything that you'd want people to look at, like a blog or like your dissertation or something?
I don't want anybody to look at that. No. Not really. I mean, you could probably find me on Google Plus or whatever, but I just mostly am a consumer of of web content and less of a producer of it.
Okay.
Including your wonderful podcast I've been enjoying.
Yay! I think this is my ninth episode, so going strong. We'll see how much, if I keep going, if I get any more than my family listening to it. I think I've got my mom and my mother-in-law and maybe like one of Megan's sisters and a couple of college friends.
I mean, it's made me get the Pocket Cast app, and I also am considering getting the YNAB budgeting software because of that. So, yeah.
Yeah, that's real handy. We like it a lot, and especially like since I was saying on the podcast, it's what we were doing anyway. Only it's easier because the software is all embedded in. We just had it all in a spreadsheet before.
Yeah, we've been using Mint.com, but I'm starting to think it's a little too hands off. Like, you know what Mint is?
Yeah.
Yeah, so it just automatically brings in your transactions, and so you don't really have to think about it. And I think that's part of the purpose of a budget is you put in your expenses, and then you see how much money you have left. So the YNAB seems to want you to do that, so that you're aware of each of your categories.
Right. You can import like a massive file from your bank's website and your credit card websites, but then it still makes you go through and categorize them and look at them one at a time.
Okay.
And there's no kind of screen scraping. It won't automatically slurp up the transactions. You have to go to the website and download it and then click on it and it imports it in. So it's like kind of automated, but Jesse Meekum, the guy who runs it, in one of his podcasts, he said that's intentional. They don't want it fully automated because like you said, it's your budget. You're supposed to keep control of it. And
Yeah, you're supposed to be aware of what's going on.
it's not just a tool to see what happened. It's a tool to control what's happening.
Yeah, and that's where Mint's really nice. I've been using it for 5 years, and I know what's happened to my money. I know what I've spent in the past, but knowing what I need to spend right now is where you get a little lost.
Well, I'll let you finish up your workday and go home to your wife and cute kids.
Yeah, thank you. It's good talking to you, Matthias.
Yeah, it's good to see you again. And next time, I'm sure there will be a next time that we go to San Diego. If you guys are still there, we'll definitely hook up. I'm sure our kids have a lot of fun rolling around together.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. Hope to see you next time you're in town if we're still here.
We'll take it easy and say hi to Emily for us.
Yeah, I will. Take care, Matthias.
Bye, Cody.
Bye.